Rafe, are you there?
This is Al Ritz.
All right. Yeah, I'm here.
We don't see your face. Are you on?
That's because I'm not joining by face until you start the meeting, since I'm doing other things right now.
Okay.
Okay. It's just embarrassing to have you watch me running around while before the meeting starts.
The imagination runs wild.
Hi.
Yeah, this is Al Ritz. I don't have a camera on my computer screen, so I'm just on the phone.
Everything okay?
Yep.
Okay, let me call you back. It's gonna be a couple hours. Okay, I'll call you back. Hey, Marcia.
Miriam?
How are you?
Oh, I love these meetings. I can't quite, I don't know why I can't see you. I have a big phone in my screen. Oh, wait a minute. Switch to gallery view. There you are. Hi. Okay.
Hi.
Hail. Some of the gang is here.
Right.
Someday I'll figure out these Zoom meetings.
No. Why is my laptop not working now?
Okay. Everybody's here. Bennett's here.
I don't see Bennett's name there.
Yeah, I see him.
Oh, you
I
do?
asked him to unmute. Yep.
Maybe
There we go.
Seeing. I still don't see Bennett, but okay.
I'm here. Here's my video.
Oh, there you are, Bennett.
Oh, there you are. We got you.
All right. Sorry for the delay. Zoom made me update my application before it let me in. So here we are. And
Rafe said he would join us in a minute when the meeting
I'm sorry.
started. Rafe said he would join when the meeting started, so he'll be in.
Okay. What do we have in terms of quorum? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Counting Al.
6, 7. We're good. We have a quorum. Are we waiting for anyone else, Bob?
Yeah.
Do we know if Mark Asness is joining us? Marcia, do we know? I haven't spoken to him.
He said he was.
I don't know. I know Nancy was going to join us, but she ended up with a unscheduled doctor's appointment.
Who was
Right.
that?
Nancy?
Oh, okay.
Uh, uh,
Can't
Go
see
ahead.
on the list because I only see 9 squares, but Ben was waiting for a grandchild, I think. Is he with us or no?
I think he said he would join us if he could.
Okay.
The folks from CHFA have let us know that they're going to be late, and they asked that we move them to the end of the agenda rather than the beginning.
Hi, Bennett. They are going to be late. This is Valencia, but I didn't have to attend that meeting, so I just checked in early.
Oh,
But
hooray.
I'll present later when the rest of the team is here, okay?
Great. I'm so glad you could join us. I was wondering who VTJ was, and
That's me.
thanks for revealing. And do we have other guests to identify themselves? I see Pamela's here. That's great. And Cynthia. And Janita Hamill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, there's Janina.
Hi, and Janita, can you identify yourself, please?
I'm a supervising special investigator under Pamela Brown for Department of Consumer Protection, occupational professional licensing, also doing mobile home park inspections and investigations.
Wonderful. And we are delighted to have you with us today. So, Bob, is it possible, you're controlling the screen, I assume. Do we want to put up, do folks need us to put up the agenda or the minutes? I've got them on my
I can give you I could promote you. Let me make you,
Can you
I can promote you too.
share screen? Yeah. Let's
Hang
see.
on, I'm trying to,
I can that way put up the.
I'm going to make you the host, Bennett.
Whoopee, what
You,
power?
you have share screen on yours as a panelist? Do you have share
No,
screen on your?
it says the host has disabled participant screen sharing. Could you enable that?
Yep, hang on. How about now?
Yes, excellent. Now I just have to find what might be the right document, huh? How's that? People able to see the,
Yes.
I got it now. Yep.
everyone able to see the agenda?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the least important document today since we don't change that very much. Let me put up, if I can.
Did we get that by email, Bennett, the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it came out last week, I believe. I can tell you when.
I thought I printed it, but I'm not seeing
No,
it.
it came out Tuesday. It came out Tuesday. Bob
Yes.
sent it out. Yeah,
Your last-
and now I am now I'm having trouble changing. Let's see what happens if I put up the minutes. Give us a second.
Tuesday.
Says it's paused. Let's try this again. Okay. Agenda minutes, here we go. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes of June 17?
I'll make the motion, Miriam.
Yep.
Miriam, and a second, please.
Al Ritz.
Al, thank you. And any discussion, corrections, additions?
No.
If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. And the minutes are approved. Let's see if we can go back to the agenda and nope, it says it's paused again. Why is that? New share. Okay, agenda. Should be sharing the agenda at this point.
Yep. I see it.
Okay,
There we go. It's rolling.
right. So I guess what we should do is see if we can get a legal update. I guess, Cynthia, that would be you. Welcome. Glad you're with us.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
We're great. And how about you?
Good, good. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, as always, we're interested in any information about our two problem children. If
So
you can
in terms of,
update us on those.
unfortunately, I expected Paulette to be on this meeting. I'm not sure what happened there, but she has the information on Country Mobile Estates, honestly. She's been tracking that since I'll be taking over mobile home parks from her. I don't actually have an update on Country Mobile. Oak Ridge, I can tell you, is in compliance with their consent decree. The last time that I think we had an inspection was in February, before the whole COVID mess. But I've been in touch with Lynn, and she's updated me. She's done a lot of road work, a lot of tree work that I actually need to follow up after this meeting with Pamela's group about. And they are in substantial compliance with that consent decree, I can tell you that.
Maybe we can ask Pamela to and Janita to tell us if they have any update on that after the February.
Right.
And Country Mobile, you say you don't have any information.
I don't. I'm meeting with Paulette later this week about, her handing over mobile home parks to me. And unfortunately, I don't have any info on Country Mobile Estates yet.
Okay. Last we heard, it is in foreclosure, right? We've gotten confirmation of that. The bank is, and there's a receiver. And beyond that, we don't have any information unless there's anyone on the call who does.
I have a question about the park, about Oak Ridge in Montville, when you have a minute.
Sure.
Well, we're on it, so go for
Okay,
it.
so I guess I looked at the inspection report, or the complaint report that was sent out, and I guess they haven't sent a new complaint in, but during one of the storms within the last month, one of the gigantic pine trees dropped 2 limbs. Actually, it was 1/2 of a notch, right in the backyard of Stacy's home. They were, I think I sent a couple pictures to all people on the advisory council, but they were 8 to 10 inches in diameter, where they sheared off and would have easily crushed a house. Stacy contacted me to find out if she could get a copy of the foresters or the tree report that was part of the consent decree. And she said she had contacted someone at DCP and had not gotten any kind of response on that. Can anybody shed any light on that?
I personally have not heard from Stacy. This is Cynthia. She has contacted me directly previously, but regarding this, I haven't heard from her directly. I don't know if there's been a complaint filed, but personally, I don't have any direct knowledge of that.
Do you know if I forget what they're called, arborist report or tree report that was done so that Linda could comply with it? Is that something that's public record?
You know, we did see that early on. The department didn't have it, and we got it from the AG's office. And I know that the department got a copy as well. My recollection is it said that all the urgent work was done, and that there was a list of other work that should be attended to in due course. And that satisfied the Attorney General that the emergency stuff was taken care of. We were not happy with it. The language suggested due course ought to be right away. So I don't know whether, Pamela, if you or your folks have seen a copy of that report, or Cynthia, if you have it, but I would think that would be relevant.
Yeah, I recall having that. I'd have to go back in my records and find it, but I do recall getting that. And I remember the conflict of whether or not, the residents really agreed that what was the most urgent had really been addressed. But I do recall that the AG's office was satisfied with what she had done because she substantially complied with what was required of the decree. I know that she's done some more tree work since then, and that's actually something that I need to follow up on also with Pamela's group, because I'm not sure how far since the whole COVID mess interrupted inspections. I'm not sure if it's possible to take a trip out there with her group and just eyeball it for myself at some point.
When I spoke to Stacy the last time was about 10 days ago. I do remember sending emails of the trees. At that time, the trees had been there for 10 days to 2 weeks, and they had not been removed. Linda said that that was a result of all the tree work that needed to be done all around, and I told her that sounded reasonable to me. But the end result is that if this tree, wasn't a danger before, it is now, because it's been completely unbalanced, because half of it is still standing and it's threatening 2 homes.
Okay.
And so Cynthia and Pamela, or whoever I need to send these pictures to, I will send them. And I guess you haven't gotten a complaint based upon the document I was sent. I'll ask the question again: can the Mobile Home Alliance file a complaint and have standing to file a complaint on behalf of residents in communities around the state?
Pamela,
So
you
anyone can, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was
I'm
going to
sorry.
say, Pamela Brown,
Please.
anyone can file a complaint. And since legal has control over the case, I would recommend, if you have anything that's supplemental to the already existing case, to send it to Cynthia. But if there's a new complaint, then you would send it to investigations.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is the legal department going to say that we don't have standing and just close the complaint?
No. If you have information that's, all these tree issues are still pertinent to the reason why they entered a consent decree to begin with. So no, forward that information to me as soon as you can.
Okay.
And I can definitely follow up on it.
All right, you'll have the pictures today, and I'll go ahead and file a complaint, because apparently she hasn't been. She's supposed to be on the call today, and she's not here. I don't know where she is.
Stacy?
Yeah.
Okay. No, yeah, definitely forward that to me. I need that, I
Okay.
can't address it if I don't know.
Understood.
Thank you. And Cynthia, could you do me a favor? I was unable to find my copy of the arborist report. Would you send that, and I'll make sure it gets out to
Sure.
members of the council who are interested?
Yes, definitely. I'll find it.
Thank you. Bob, before we move on, can I just ask, I'm no longer able to see everybody who's here. But
Yeah, either am I. I'm just seeing, all I have on here is the agenda. Is anybody else the same thing?
All I can see is the agenda also,
I
Miriam.
could see the panelists on the side. I could see.
Oh,
your-
yeah, when somebody's speaking, I can see their small picture.
yeah, but I can't see everybody. I do notice that Jennifer's here, and I'm not sure she was initially. Bob, I assume you see everyone coming in, so your
Right.
minutes will reflect everyone who's here.
Right.
Okay, great. Good morning, Jennifer.
I'm looking to see.
Gotta have audio on.
She's muted.
I can ask her to unmute.
No, that's fine. We know she's here.
Yep.
So, Cynthia, are there other cases besides these two parks that are now with legal that you can just give us a quick high-level overview of? We don't need details at this point, but.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not aware of any others that are currently with legal. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to meet with Paulette, so she can hand everything over to me. We're meeting on Friday this week, but unfortunately, that's all the information I really have.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Maybe we should, hey, Rafi, nice to see you. Maybe what we should do now is go to Pamela and Janita for a report. And if you all have any information about the two problem parks, if there've been any inspections since February, it would be great if you could lead with that information.
Okay, so when we have cases open in our agency, the controlling division speaks on the case. So whatever was presented by Cynthia, and I know that she says she has additional information, she will share that when it is ready, because legal has charge over that case. We don't cross unless they refer something back to us for supplemental work. And then also, Janita will report out on our current case list. We have the new report that you have requested as far as providing information as to the open cases, closed cases, how long they have been active. But I just wanted to let you know, preface this report, that we cannot discuss the details of the case or the investigation in this open format, but we can supply the information which we have.
Right. Well, we've gone through this 1,000 times, right? And so we're not looking for details that you can't provide. We're looking for a high-level understanding without details so that we are just aware of what the issues are. And I hope that we can continue to do that. But since we have Cynthia on the phone and she says that she's not aware of any inspection since February in the two parks, can you just confirm that that's the case? With Cynthia's permission, of course.
I'll have to look that up because that's not something that I have in front of me. Let me just see if I can get onto our database. And Janita, you can, in the meantime, report out on the spreadsheet.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. The case report that you all have a copy of will show the opened new complaints on mobile home parks that we have been assigned in the occupational professional enforcement unit. They are also, per the council's request, listing the towns, the names of the park, the towns that they are located in, and there's the date that they were received. It will correspond with the number of days that it's been open, and based on the way that the complaint center reporting system goes, when it's a consumer or a tenant complaint, it's going to always say it's a dispute between the resident and the mobile home park or condo association or landlord. They haven't just because it's used for those 3 segments, but these are mobile home park complaints. And in that time, which I did the report from June 1st of 2020 to August 31st of 2020, we have received 9 new complaints, and we had 1 complaint that was closed in that time because the
Not a problem. Everyone's welcome on Zoom. Dogs and
Okay.
children especially.
Okay. Anyway, we have 9 new complaints that are open and under investigation. And there was 1 complaint that came in during that time frame. And the complainant made sure to let us know that the complaint was not against the mobile home park. It was against the owner because it was a person-to-person sale or prospective sale of this unit. The current owner was selling it to the complainant, and they were having some disagreements about what was going to happen or when, and it wasn't with the park itself.
Thank you. I noticed, and unfortunately, I'm having trouble finding that report. Appreciate that it came out in advance of the meeting, but I can't seem to get my hands on it at the moment. But I do recall that there were like 5 or 6 complaints in a single park. Can you just tell us the nature? Are those all related?
And
Bennett, could she also tell us where that park is located? Because I'm not recalling a park in Watertown, please.
Looks like Riverview Mobile.
It's located in Watertown?
And
the report that I ran pulled up the addresses that are related to those parks in the system. If you know that these are incorrect or that it might be pulling up the owner's address, then I have to bring that to our IT group's attention and our licensing services attention, because the report, status report, this report is supposed to be pulling up the park number, the park name, and the address where the park resides. So if someone believes this is incorrect and you think you know where it is, could you please let me know so I can let our IT group know today?
There's a park in
Naugatuck?
Is Riverview
Yeah.
a park in East Hartford? And that the name seems very vaguely familiar.
I want to
There's,
say
there's Riverview Mobile Home Park Estates, but that's in Naugatuck. Riverview.
Okay, well then this is right in that case. If there is a Riverview Mobile Home Estates in Watertown,
Right.
then you do have the right address.
okay.
Well, I thought Riverview Estates is in Naugatuck.
Oh, okay. Well, that was what my question was.
Rivermead
Do any of us know where Riverview
Rivermead is the one in
Rivermead
East
is in
Haven,
East Hartford.
folks.
Yes,
Yeah.
I just stated Pamela Brown again, Naugatuck. Looking at our database.
It is Naugatuck, but it's listing Watertown, which must be the owner.
Okay, then that information will be relayed to our IT people, because the report was specifically supposed to be generating the park's physical address, where the people live. So we apologize if this is incorrect. Thank you for letting us know that we still have to fine tune it, and I will make sure that that information gets out to our IT group.
Great. While we're on that,
Thank you, Mike.
if we
Can
could
I ask
just, before we do that, just want to make sure that the other parks are in the right location. Rivermead is in fact East Hartford.
Yep.
Correct.
Berkeley Place, I'm not familiar with. Does anybody know where that's located? It says East Windsor. I now have it on the screen. Can you all see it?
No, it's still stuck
No.
on the agenda.
Hang on, let me,
I'm aware of a mobile home park at East Windsor, but I don't know the name of it.
Oh, there we all are.
hang on, I'm going to, I want to share it. Now you should be seeing the report.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Sorry, so can anyone confirm Berkeley or not?
I don't know what Berkeley is. Okay.
Orange is apparently in Orange. I think that's the one Dave and Al were working on.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
we talk about that at this point, or you want?
No, not yet. We're
Okay.
going to just go through the list.
Yeah.
It won't take a second. Shoreline Trailer Court in, how lovely the name.
Oh, so here you go. Okay, so the property is in Brantford. The
It's
owner
in
is
Brantford.
Okay, so we have another error in terms of location, and High Rock LLC in Groton.
Yeah, that's one of mine. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's fine. That's the one that was a mistake or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, but so sometimes it's pulling the address and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. And for Shoreline, I should have picked up on that right away because I know for a fact it's not in Stamford. It is in Brantford and it's on East Main Street.
Yeah. So again, before we move on, and I'll open it for questions from the members, Riverview has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are these all the same or unrelated?
There are various complaints from the different tenants.
And are these all conditions issues?
And I have to apologize. I'm going by memory. Two might be. I think one is they're fighting over they didn't like the fact that there was they might have had a increase in the lease, the payment, the fee. And the other two were just overall general complaints that they weren't happy with the management. But I can't give you a definitive answer without going back to look at each individual complaint. And the other thing is they are open, they are under investigation, and I can't really discuss them.
Well, but again, Pamela, you're here. We have had an agreement that without getting into names and details, the council is entitled to know the general reason for the complaint.
Yes, and you do have the general reason listed on your report, which says dispute.
Well, but that's of no use whatsoever.
But that's all we can do. Even if it's a member of we do not as a policy, and this is this is a public forum. This is a Zoom meeting. So we do not, if someone called our office and said, can you tell us about this open complaint, we would not disclose it. So we still have to keep.
Okay, so we have our attorney here. As I say, we have worked this out with the department, and we had an agreement that without disclosing details or names, you could tell us the general reason for the complaint, which is to say condition, dispute over rent, dispute over rules and regs, whatever. We need that information to be able to do our job.
So what are you doing? I mean, it's what you do is you get the information when it's either coming through legal or it's coming through, for some enforcement matter, or if it's closed, and we can fully disclose at that time. We do not, as any board would get any other information. You actually get a lot more. So what we did is we provide to you general alleged issues, and we provide to you the names of the parks. We do not provide this for any other board. This is more than what we normally would provide, and that's what you can get under the current agreement. We can't, in an open forum, discuss our investigation.
I'm not asking you to discuss your investigation. We're merely asking you to give us at a high level the nature of the dispute in a
Which
way
is-
that doesn't reveal any confidential information. And we've always gotten that. And this is a change in your interpretation. And I'm asking Cynthia what the legal basis for that is.
You know, I know that since I've been with the department, Pamela's interpretation is all that I've heard, is that it's there. You know, I know that Julianne has attended these meetings in the past and been very obligatorily vague in discussing complaints. I'm
Well,
not sure that Pamela really can go beyond what she's already saying right now.
But with all due respect, Pamela has gone, just as Janita did, in telling us generically what kind of dispute. And that's all we're asking for. We're not asking for the details. We're not asking for the result of your investigation. We're merely asking for the subject matter. If, for example, these all involve potable water, or they
No.
all involve septic,
No.
that would be a very different matter, and we would want to know that.
Right. So I think, Bennett, the best thing for us to do is maybe have a separate meeting so that we
Okay.
can have both sit down, and we can sit down with Julianne and the commissioner and have an understanding of what we can and cannot share during these public meetings. That may
Perfect.
be the best way to resolve this matter before for
Perfect.
future meetings.
Absolutely. I'd like to do that because we've had, I think, a very amicable relationship, and I thought until this moment an agreement on what a high level explanation of the subject matter was of the dispute. So
Right.
yes.
So we have the allegations, and that's another part of the reason is it's not a found issue. So we have to
Understood.
give all parties an opportunity to, give their side of the story. We also need to get our investigator out there to do fact finding. Maybe, the local officials, state officials. There's a lot of work that's involved in these cases. So just because someone makes an allegation, for example, we had someone call up and say there's 40 feral cats. I got in the car with Janita and Keith met us down there. We didn't see one cat. So, except for one that was owned by a resident. So this is another reason why we don't share the information as a policy until we have a resolution or a found issue. But yes, I will set up a meeting maybe the next week or so when we have an opportunity to get on the commissioner's calendar or Julianne's calendar, and then we can sit down and have a discussion about this.
Super. Thank you so
Right.
much.
That
Let
would
me
be
open
great.
it to other
and-
consult. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say that I think that would be great also for everyone to be on the same page. But, to echo what Pamela's saying, it is a matter of also protecting the integrity, or at least the reputation of the mobile home park owners who might be falsely accused of, doing X, Y, and Z when there's really it's an unfounded issue or an
Right.
unfounded complaint.
Absolutely. And the record should clearly reflect that these are merely allegations.
Right.
That's all we're asking for. And again, no details, no names.
Mhm.
So, Rafi, I think Dave was ahead of you, but I'm
No,
not
I'm sorry.
sure.
Okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk about the one in Orange and what kind of update you can give on DCP's stance on that particular issue, because it's a park with one mobile home left. The current owner makes it obvious by actions that, the park is for sale, and has increased the rent to $950, I believe. Tried to increase it to $1150. The individual property owner went to court last December and won a court action limiting their rent increase to $950 a month for virtually no services. So I just was curious what DCP's initial investigation has found.
Can't say that.
Can I just ask a question about that? When you say that, I believe, I think I know which park this is. I've driven by it where it's right on Boston Post Road in Orange and
Yep.
surrounded by commercial stuff. And there's, yeah. Okay. So I'm just curious because is there really only one home left that's there?
There's one
Left.
home. There's one home, to the best of my knowledge,
Yeah.
there's one home that's owned by, a private resident.
So does the park owner still have homes there that he or she owns?
There are apparently 3 or 4 other
Okay.
homes there that are rented out by the park owner to various tenants. I'm not sure if
Okay.
it might be as many as 5. One of them, when I was there quite a while ago, appeared to be unoccupied, but they are the only ones left. And the 5 that are left are out on the front near the road. All of the homes between the front of the road and that were down the sides around the circle have all been removed.
Okay.
If I can, before other questions come up about this, let me share with the council, for folks who may not be familiar, based on Al and Dave's investigation, including a conversation with the remaining resident who owns her own home, their own home, it's a couple, both of whom are disabled. The complaint here, the concern is that the park owner is circumventing the park closure statutes in 2 respects. One, that the park owner has failed to give the statutory notice when they've advertised the park as for sale. And I believe have said in the ad that it's available for other purposes. And second of all, by raising the rent in order to drive them out, and they've successfully done that. They've driven out all but, as Dave said, one resident owner, raising the rents to exorbitant levels for the purpose of circumventing the statutory relocation assistance.
I would argue they've been in violation in another way by actively, in writing apparently, although I have not seen it, but actively offering to, they've found a place for these people to move their home to Meriden, and did not offer them any assistance. They said they had, the ownership said, you can move the house to Meriden.
Right. So the statute has has 2 levels depending on whether you can relocate within a certain geographic area, and I don't remember what that is, and then a higher level if no such relocation is possible. But in any event, there is assistance that needs to be provided. And so I think that this is a very serious issue that affects not just the remaining resident, but potentially those who were driven out earlier, and if in fact there is a circumvention of the statute. And so I would hope the department is, as soon as possible, referring this to legal. Otherwise, it'll be too late. Al, please,
Bennett,
go ahead.
When I talked to the people originally, the couple that's in the back, I tried asking them about the homes that were there, because I remember going by it for quite some number of years and see the amount of homes dwindle as years went by. He couldn't actually give me any information as far as if the other ones that were driven out actually owned their home at some point. He really didn't know.
Right. Well, an investigation would reveal that, Al.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know what he told me.
So, Cynthia, I imagine this has not yet come to you?
No, it has not.
If it's possible for you to confer with Pamela about this, this is not a routine case. And again, if action isn't taken soon, it may be for naught.
Yes, definitely, I can do that.
Well, and I'll also point out that it was opened on July 31st.
Yeah, I think this discussion is helpful to explain to everyone why this may be a very important issue to deal with. Rafi, I believe you were next up.
Can you hear me? My screen went blank, so
Yes,
We
yes,
can
we
hear
can.
you and
Okay.
see you.
I'm sorry?
We can hear you and see you.
Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I don't know what's wrong with my screen. I had the question I wanted to ask in terms of the chart is whether where in informing us about is the chart of I'm sorry, let me start that question again. I'm understanding this chart to be of resident generated complaints, but the department also does its own inspections. And my question is there, if the department ends up inspecting and finding things that need to be corrected, does that work its way onto the chart that you've given us? Or if not, how would we go about having that information included as well? Because from our perspective, we need to be able to address issues in parks, what essentially are potentially non-conforming parks. So where does it fit in when the department itself is the initiator of the complaint rather than a resident?
This is Janita Hamill. To my knowledge, the IT group does not have an inspection report created. I'm not sure if the system can do one. What you have are the complaints that are initiated either from the association, somebody on behalf of someone, one of the residents, a friend of a resident, a relative of the resident. Those are the complainants. That's where the complaint cases come from. And that's what this spreadsheet is based off of, is the information that's been used from the complaint computer tracking system to generate this by our IT group. To my knowledge, I do not know that there is one for inspections. And that
Would it be possible to explore whether there is or isn't, and if there's not, whether one can be created?
we can, I'm sure that Pamela can approach that director with that question. Sure.
I will, yes.
I can't say sure. We can ask, and I can put the question to Pamela, and Pamela can put it to the IT director, and they will let us know whether it can or it can't. I can't answer to that.
Yeah, two related questions here. One is, Pamela, I understood that your system does flag inspections where repairs require follow-up. I believe you told me that was one of the changes you had made to avoid a situation where inspection reports went unaddressed for ages, as they did in a couple of parks.
Well, what's happening, yes, what's happening is there is a new mobile inspection module that we are using, which is currently under construction. It is supposed to interface with our, so this whole new thing is, as Janita's describing, is transitioning. We have a mobile inspection app, which we now use on our phones. However, there's been some hiccups with that, and they are in the process of interfacing this mobile inspection app with our database so that it will all be in one. It's going to auto-generate inspection case files for us. It was supposed to be rolled out, I believe, by the end of this month. Maybe not for us, because it's also used by other divisions, such as our drug control division, the pharmacists who are out in the pharmacies, our food inspectors who are out at the grocery stores. So we're on the list for that transition to happen. At that point, I believe that we will be able to provide additional information. However, I will need to follow up with the IT department because they are the ones who are working on those databases.
Great, thank you so much. That was basically what I'd understood, and I didn't know quite where you were with it. But I would think at the point where those systems are in sync and you have inspection reports that indicate issues that have not been complied with after a certain period of time, being able to get some sort of data on those would be very useful. I also wanted just to follow up on Janita's explanation of what's on this report. My understanding is at a certain point, the department itself issues complaints, right? When you've been unable, for example, to informally persuade a park owner to comply with an inspection report. At that stage, does the departmental generated report show up on the report we're now looking at, or does that transmit directly into legal at that point?
The system should capture refer to legal, and there is a column that would say that
At the end.
at the end that says refer to legal, so that if you hold on to the reports, you would see that it eventually will make it to legal if the park owner is not in compliance. So a case may be open, as you know, we open them maybe in February, but it may not be the time for paving. So we have to give a reasonable time, you know, the asphalt plants open, they can get the driveways or the roadways repaired. So we don't just let the case sit. We are constantly talking to the owners, and then Janita, as a supervisor, meets with her staff to go through their case work to see if, you know, why is it still open? You know, what other methods can we take? Have we hit a roadblock? Do we need to refer this to legal for a compliance meeting? So it's not sitting collecting dust anywhere. We go through our caseloads routinely.
Right. Just again, my confusion about the difference between externally generated complaints and inspections. If let's assume there was no resident complaint of any sort or no public complaint, but your inspection revealed some serious issues, after numerous attempts, you were unable to resolve them with the park owner. Would that case wind up on this report, or would it just go directly to legal?
Under our new process, it will, because the inspections, if they are not resolved, must be generated, must be entered as a case before it's sent to legal, or legal will have to open the case, because the complaints are based on the inspections as well that legal will be handling.
Okay.
Our system is set up as such as if I went out to a park today and then I got another complaint and I went out tomorrow, 2 different incidents, 2 different alleged violations, I cannot open the second case until the first one is resolved. So our way that we're doing this, and it's a process that we've developed, is that a case must be open. So you might start seeing a lot more cases on this report. That is how it's going to be in the future. So it will be on this list, regardless if it started off as an inspection. It will end up in a case if there's going to be an enforcement action by legal.
Okay, and that'll be reflected, that referral to legal, in column O?
Yes.
R.
The last,
Column
one of the last.
R.
R.
There it is, yeah.
I can't see column R. Can you all? It's blocked by some Zoom. Hang on.
Yeah, I
there it
can't
is.
see it.
Now
I
we-
can see
now
it,
we've
but
got
it's,
it.
yeah, I can see it, yeah.
Your cursor is right over it. Yep.
Yeah, I got it now. Thank you. I was being blocked by the list of attendees. Okay, so it does show fines and forfeitures and refer to legal. Excellent. Thank you so much. Any other questions for Janita or Pamela before we move on to
Yes,
other
can we go
business
back
we need
to,
cover?
can we go back to Orange just for a second? one of the allegations that they told me was that they had been accused of having feral cats. Somebody said earlier that they did an inspection where about feral cats, and there were none. Has DCP actually done an inspection of the Orange Trailer Park since this complaint was open?
I don't have that information, so if I can, it's easier for me to have, to have that information ahead of time so I can prepare. I would have to go into the database to see whether or not the inspection took place. So
well, I
can get back to Bennett, and Bennett can probably share that information with you.
I'd like to know about that because these people are in pretty desperate. So I'm not really concerned about the feral cats issue. I'm interested in knowing whether anybody's been there because these people are in pretty desperate circumstances.
Right. I know that we have inspected the park twice. I can't give you the date, and the feral cats did not have anything to do with Orange. It was just an example of how we do receive complaints.
Okay.
And when we get out there, it's just to get us out there because, you know, there might be other issues that a tenant is having with their landlord. But I can get back to Bennett on the inspections of the Orange Park.
All right. Thank you. I'd appreciate that. I'd like to be able to follow up with them.
Okay.
Super. Any
Hi,
other
all.
member? I'm sorry.
Excuse me, this is Janita Hamill. If there's no further questions for me regarding anything, I'm going to have to beg off. I have another meeting starting in 3 minutes. Is it possible to be excused?
Absolutely. And let's quickly, any other questions for?
I can remain on because Janita was, she has to appear for this next meeting.
Yeah, that's great.
So I can stay on, but I do want to offer a correction on the Berkeley place. But if you want to go ahead, Janita, go ahead and jump on your other meeting.
All right, thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
you. So Berkeley Place is located in East Windsor.
Okay.
My computer is in the midst of an update, so I can't get back into the database right now, but I did write that down. I just wanted to have it for the record.
Yeah, it does list East Windsor here. So that's
okay.
So it looks like Rivermead, Berkeley Place, Orange Trailer were all correctly entered.
Okay.
And the remainder were not.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we're going to move on unless anything else urgent for Pamela. Okay, next item, just quickly informational. We have the park tour with CHFA, which is the outcome of the big meeting we had with them this summer. It's taken quite a while to arrange, but we're going to have executives and staff from CHFA, the Commissioner of Housing, and our Commissioner Siegel from DCP, all attending. The tour is Colchester Commons, the first resident-owned park in Connecticut, and I guess one of just 3 or 4. We have 1 seat open on that tour for a council member. They've limited us to a total of 16. There are 8 from the 3 agencies, and so far 7 of the Finance Committee members have said they're going to attend. So I've opened it up. Marcia and Miriam, Ben is unable to attend that date, he said. I sent an email yesterday. If either of you are able to attend, please let me know. We have to give them a final count. We're going to do a tour of the park. I think it's got about 100 homes, pretty spread out. And then we're going to have a discussion with the 4 members of the association executive committee in their clubhouse, and they want to ensure adequate physical distancing. So that's why we're limited. Originally, they're only going to allow 12. Now they've allowed to let us have 16, plus the 4 of them. So masks are required. I should have said that in the email. If I didn't, I will send it out again. Masks are required, and they will set the chairs up with adequate distance. So please, if you're interested.
Thank you for the invite, Bennett. I'm not going to be able to attend on that one.
Okay, Marcia, how about you?
Bennett, what was the date again? I'm looking at my calendar now.
It's October 7.
October 7th. Okay, I could probably make that. It's going to be at Colchester Commons, not Westchester Village.
Correct. Unfortunately, we had and my apologies to the DiZenzo family. Nancy had set up a tour of both parks. I mean, the second park, but CHFA then notified us that they could not get there in time to allow us to do 2 parks. So as a result, we're back to just one, 9:30 to no later than 11.
Okay. Yeah, I can make October 7th. It's on a Wednesday, correct?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, so that's starting at 9:30?
Correct.
Okay.
It should be in my last email. I also gave the address, which is Colchester Commons. So presumably you can find it on Google or whatever your navigation system is.
Okay.
Okay, we're still waiting for the rest of the crew from CHFA to show up. We're expecting them around 11:15. Major item that I do want to move to, you should all be able to see my screen, the disclosure statement. Can I get an affirmative on that?
Yes, I can see it.
Wonderful. Okay, so this is the same version I sent out to the committee a couple of days ago, late last week. As you know, because you've seen this a couple times, Rafi first undertook to do a crosswalk of the disclosure statement with the statutes and the regs, and he sent that to us for our background information. And then he sent me an earlier draft, and I gave him some feedback. He then sent out to all of us the more comprehensive draft. I added a few things to it, and largely those are in hang on, trying to think where that was. Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering. I did tell you where oh, it's on the written rental agreement, section 12. I added a paragraph there, just tracking the statute. And I did a little formatting. It looks like I may have to do a little bit more for the final, but no substantive changes other than that. And there were a couple of other comments, which I believe Rafi accommodated. And we sent this out a couple times for feedback. There has been none. There are some members present today who are not on the education committee, so you may have seen this for the first time when I sent it out on, I think, Tuesday morning or Monday night. The only other thing that we're going to suggest, and it's not formally part of the disclosure statement, the statute requires that the disclosure statement be provided no later than the signing of a new lease by a new resident. In our discussions in the committee, we talked about the desirability of having the disclosure statement in the hands of a prospective new resident at an earlier point, because at lease signing, it's a little late. And Nancy then undertook a survey, unofficial survey of the Park Owners Association to see what people did. And the consensus was that most people, in fact, did provide it at an earlier state when there's an inquiry or a request for an application, or even knowledge that a sale is going to take place. Since the prospective purchaser has to have park owner permission, get the disclosure statement in the hands sooner. Nancy reported back that, in fact, that's what all the park owners are doing anyway. And so I added in my cover email the recommendation to the department that in posting this disclosure statement, they make it clear that by law it must be given no later than the signing of the lease, but it is strongly recommended that it be delivered to the prospective new resident at the earliest point at which the park owner has knowledge of such person. So with that, I would like to offer an opportunity for folks who are not members of the Education Committee. And Mark, I'm not sure if you're the only one. No, that's not true. Jennifer, let me see if I can somehow get the list of residents back, of members back. It seems to be beyond my, oh, here we are. So Dave was involved, Rafi was involved, Miriam and Marcia, Jennifer was not, and Mark was not. And I'm, for some reason, not seeing the full list. So forgive me if I've missed anybody, but let's start with Mark and Jennifer. Do you have any questions about the revised disclosure statement? Jennifer, I don't know if you're muted, but to you first. Well, I'll take silence as no. And if you are unable to unmute yourself, please try to do that and let us know affirmatively. And Mark, if you're still there, to you, do you have any questions? If not, then back to members of the committee. Again, you've seen this several times. I'd like to have a motion that we submit this to the department as our recommended revision to the revised disclosure statement that's currently posted. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you, Dave, and I need a second.
I'll
Second now.
Oh, okay, I heard two voices. I heard Al and Miriam. Marcia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'd call the question. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Thank you.
Bennett?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Bennett? I'm
Yes.
sorry, excuse me. Who made the second, who seconded the motion, please?
I heard Marcia and Al, so they can fight over it. Why don't we let a park owner have the honor? So we'll call it Marcia.
Okay, thank you.
And our thanks to Rafi for a huge amount of work with great diligence. And I think it's a greatly improved product, and I will forward this to the department with a request that it be, well, I will take the liberty of making any additional formatting changes. I think every time it gets transmitted, some of the indents get lost. I'll make sure that those are corrected, but I will send out a clean copy to the entire console. Or actually what I'll do is I'll copy the console in my transmission of the disclosure statement to the department. Cynthia, we originally went through Julianne. I assume she's still the person to forward it, or do you want to have the honors?
You know what? CC both of us.
Okay.
Because we
Well,
do keep her in the loop for all this stuff. So yeah, if you add me to it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think in fact what I'll do is I will address it to you, because Julianne was the one who asked us initially to revise the old statement that was in the regulation and posted.
Right.
And we did that sort of quick and dirty, and then it's taken us another year to do it more thoughtfully. So
Okay.
again, thanks to, yes, I'm sorry.
Ben, I would think that you would want to address it to the commissioner with CCs to all the other relevant people, or no?
We didn't do that last time. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think the commissioner would bother herself with this. We don't do that with anything else. I'll leave it to Cynthia and Julianne if they think that's appropriate or necessary.
Yeah, sending it to both of us will be sufficient, to Julianne
Okay.
and I.
Yeah, thank you. I will do that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're now at 11:12, and I'm going to see if I can stop sharing. Oh, excellent. And see who is with us. And I do not yet see the remaining folks from CHFA. We can, let me just report for those that were not able to join the call. Nancy and Al and I think we're the only ones, Al.
Yeah.
We're able to join the CHFA's call with CDI and ROC on Monday afternoon. They had invited us. This was a previously scheduled meeting, at least the second. Valencia, you may be able to tell us, I don't know if there were more than that, but there'd been discussions between CHFA and CDI ROC, and this was a follow-up meeting that we were invited to join. And I put it out to the finance committee members, and the three of us were the only ones who could make it. And we discussed basically the question of how residents would be given information about the availability of support, both financial resources and support in organizing and gathering information, forming an association, and accessing the financial assistance, how that would be done. And then we talked a bit about what kinds of information would have to be provided in a pre-application process, and the fact that we needed to keep the 25% threshold for pre-application because that's the statutory standard for residents coming together to exercise their statutory right to purchase the home when the use of the properties is being changed from a mobile home park. And we asked again that the requirement for a legal association not kick in until a later stage. And I think there was agreement on all of that. There was also agreement that it was critical to have professional assistance available to the residents at an early stage, and we needed to engage DOH in that discussion. And Jennifer, I know that we had asked that DOH be included in the conversations, and we were assured that they would be going forward. I don't know if an invitation had been extended to DOH for Monday's meeting, but clearly DOH is a critical partner. We did talk about getting the pamphlet, the flyer that we created and had the 3 agencies approve several years ago, getting that posted. That was its intent, by having it posted by all 3 agencies. And there is a requirement in the law that when the park owner notifies the residents, park owner has to notify both DOH and DCP at the same time, if not an earlier time. And so those agencies would be in a position to ensure that professional help was made available. We also talked about the Residents Alliance being notified. That's not in statute, but it certainly could be done once DCP and DOH have notice. We also flagged issues for future meetings to discuss, including the fact that many of the conditions in the CHFA draft are quite onerous and seem designed for a new subdivision rather than an existing park. And to the extent those could be re-examined and perhaps toned down. We talked briefly about secondary market financing, whether Fannie had a role to play. I was disappointed to hear from the folks at CDI Rock that Fannie has not made any of its duty to serve money available for associations, but instead has been pouring it into these REITs and other private national companies that are buying up parks all over the country. Disconcerting to hear that money that was meant to help residents is going instead to these conglomerates that seem to be buying up all the smaller or family-owned parks and even some of the bigger ones. That's an issue that we hope to explore further. For Fannie, we want to both explore park purchase, but also financing, secondary financing for individual home purchases. Al, anything else that you can recall? Unfortunately, Nancy's not with us today. Mark?
I'm sorry, Bennett. This is Valencia, and I have another call I have to jump on at 11:30. So
Yes,
I hate
please.
to interrupt, but I'd like to give you a little bit of a report out on what I am doing.
Please, we'd love to hear that. We'd love
All
to hear
right, that'll be great. Colette is going to jump on. She said about 11:15. I just got an email about my other meeting. So I just want to tell you that on the home ownership side, I don't know much about your meeting with Rock because I wasn't on that call, but Colette will be able to give you more of an update on that. What I've been doing is working on trying to reestablish the mobile home purchase program. And I have been in contact with C4C. Based on some of the changes that we've made to the program, and that includes eliminating the requirement for the title insurance, we believe that we're going to be able to go forward and recreate a program that we'll be able to implement very soon. I actually had some conversations with one of our sister HFAs. I talked to New Hampshire, where they do quite a bit of mobile home park financing and for residents and owners. And Unfortunately, the program that they have for purchase is the Fannie Mae product, and it's not one that we are ready or able to duplicate here in Connecticut. But he did talk about research that he had done and some work that he's doing with Fannie and with some of the MI companies. So I'm going to be following up with the homeownership director there to determine whether or not there's something that they're doing that we can mirror. In the meantime, we're going to just go ahead and try to reinstate our program. So we're going to be revising that, and I hope to be able to share something more with you at your next meeting.
Lindsay, can I ask you to hold for 1 second? Bob, can you help Colette out? She doesn't, she's not able to unmute herself or activate her camera. The unmuting would be the critical thing, if you can help with that. If you can hear me, Colette, bottom left of your screen should have an icon for the mic and an icon for the video, but it may be that Bob can override that.
Okay, Bennett, Bennett, she's a panelist now.
Okay.
You should be,
Now I'm
able
here.
to are you there? Okay.
Hi, Colette. We can see you. Thank you.
Hi, Colette. I'm
Valencia,
glad
I'm
you're
gonna
on
let you-
because I'm going to be running off. The last thing I want to say is that we have heard your concern about maybe being able to offer a refinancing product for existing mobile homeowners, and we are beginning to explore that as a possibility as well. So hopefully at the next meeting I can give you more specifics, but I just want you to know that we're continuing to rebuild our relationship and our initiative on the homeownership side.
That is fantastic, and we're very appreciative of that, Valencia. Thank you. I would like to ask, though, could we schedule a Zoom meeting with you and the Finance Committee prior to the December meeting, just to get a more in-depth understanding of some of the issues you're looking at and what you've discovered, because you're light years ahead of us on a lot of critical details.
I'm sure we would be able to do that. Let me get back to you on that. And I don't have my calendar open because I'm doing Zoom on my computer, and it's the first time I did it on the laptop. I can't do more than one thing.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I will undertake, if you can just send me like 2 or 3 dates, I'll undertake to poll the Finance Committee and find a date that works for everyone. That would be great.
Okay, I will do it. I'm sorry I have to rush off, guys, but thank you, and I'll look forward to talking to you at the next session.
Super.
And I'll send something to you, Bennett, in advance.
Thank you so much for sticking with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Valencia.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Colette, welcome. You're here just in time. And I had given a brief overview of our meeting Monday. Nancy unfortunately cannot be here, and Al is here. He hasn't yet had a chance, but would welcome your giving us a little background on your conversations with CDI Rock, where that's going, and then have Al give his impressions of the meeting as well.
Sure. You guys can hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So we've had some ongoing meetings with CDI and ROC, mostly to just continue to familiarize ourselves with the process, existing products, existing services that are available, and really just to get to know how these deals work and how they come to fruition. So we've had a number of calls with CDI to kind of just cover basics and get caught up. They did refer us to a couple of states that have worked with them before. So we talked with someone in Maine, and again, it's helpful to kind of just understand how these deals work. But personally, you realize you just got to dive into the details yourself and make it your own and how it's going to look here in Connecticut. A lot of when we talk to other states, they may have other partners in the state that are local that they work with. So at this point, we haven't quite identified who those partners are. And since we have made some good headway with CDI and understanding what they could bring to the table, at this point, that's our focus, is to just kind of understand how those processes could dovetail. So our discussion on Monday, it was a good time to have council members participate. We're trying to build the framework for what would happen if residents wanted to apply for financing to purchase the park that they reside in. So it was, again, selfishly very helpful to me because you guys bring a lot of feedback and perspective as far as where there's, a rub on certain issues, and helping us kind of think through that while we're building that framework is really helpful. So the focus of Monday's call in particular was really just starting to talk about what it would be like at the point of a notification that a park is being sold, or as Bennett said, that it doesn't necessarily have to be triggered by a sale or a change in use, but a starting point to how do we get to application. So I feel like we had a great discussion that will enable us to kind of work through that initial phase and start to form that structure. And we'll continue to work with CDI and dive into the details again of what pre-development looks like to get to an application stage. And then, we'll reconnect. I think that would be a good point to reconnect and get some additional feedback from council members, not only on what we've kind of designed for that first part of the process, but then going into the second piece, which is the application for finance and what happens after that. So we'll continue those conversations and march forward.
Thank you. Al, did you want to add your impressions of the meeting?
I thought the meeting went real well, and it seemed like CDI and CHAFA were giving each other, the opportunity to get in there and help out. The only thing I wasn't really sure as far as CDI was involved, if at some point when the entire structure is finished, is CDI actually going to be in on the format of going forward with, the parks, if they want to purchase their own or not, or if it was just a matter of getting information from them and just eventually cutting them out. So, because there is a lot of information and assistance that CDI has that they can give to CHAFA as far as that program goes.
Again, these are good questions because it helps me know where we need to find out more. But from just learning about CDI, I do know that they like to stay involved with the project when they have their financing with ROC, that they like to be involved after closing. So is that a beneficial, Al, do you see that as a beneficial thing to keep them involved after the park purchase?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do, because they, like I was mentioning to you at the meeting that we were on, they also supply a representative from CDI to the associations to help train those boards and also keep them informed on what they need to do as far as keeping their community solvent after the purchase of the park is actually done. So they can be a big assistance to the community going forward.
One thing I think that we were all agreed on and have been with CHFA from the beginning, despite our disagreements, we've agreed that residents do need access to professional help. They need it at the very beginning when they're trying to come together, form an association, put the package together. They can't do that without professional help. It's way too complex. And as Al said, they need it afterwards because they have to function as a board and they've got to sustain the park as a business entity in perpetuity. So I think we're all agreed that having that help available is essential. And you know, from the last draft, CHFA made it clear that the application had to include proof that such an entity would be involved with the association, the resident association, to ensure its success. And I personally, and I think the whole council supports that. I did raise the question of whether CDI was the only entity that CHFA would allow. And, you know, I think the response several years ago was clearly that it was not a monopoly, that if the Residents Association had found other professional help to do that work, that could be acceptable to CHFA. And I think that's probably, for a variety of reasons, necessary to leave it open. There may not be many such entities that are in a position to do that, but if there are, I think residents should have choice. These deals sometimes happen in mysterious ways. Miriam has a park in Danbury that came together on its own with her help and had financing from a local bank. We're going to hear in a couple weeks from Colchester, which put the deal together with a local lawyer and the bank that held the paper on the park from the prior owner who was going bankrupt. And so one could imagine these things coming up in a different context, and maybe CDI Rock is not an essential partner because there's somebody else who can step into that role. So I think it's good that flexibility be considered. An important thing that I don't know if people are aware of is that we talk about CDI Rock as a single entity, but they're really not. They're two faces of the process. CDI providing the technical assistance and Rock providing the financing. Rock comes in because, at least to date, CHFA has been unwilling to provide more than, I think, 95% of loan to value. Is that right? I forget what the number is. And these deals often require more than that. And so Rock is able to bring in additional financing to make the deal succeed. They also said that they do not require residents to put down the down payment, that they arrange for the financing of that. That may be critical when you consider that many residents have all their assets tied up in their home and can't come up with the cash, at least initially, or on relatively what for them would be short notice. So I think if in fact Fannie is not available as a partner for the financing of parks, then somebody else is going to have to be, or CHFA is going to have to be more generous if these deeds are going to succeed. The last issue, which we didn't talk about, but which I think is definitely on our list for future conversations, is what's the critical mass? And CDI Rock said that they have lots of parks with 50 to 100 homes, but that under 50 becomes highly problematic. And we know that we have a lot of parks in Connecticut, perhaps the most vulnerable ones, that are under 50. And we have to think creatively about how we can put a mechanism together that can address that. If there's some way to combine these smaller parks into a new entity, or creating a new resident-owned park for an existing larger park with the capacity to absorb some of the smaller ones. I have no idea what that could look like, but I think if we're going to address what I fear is a looming problem for Connecticut, I think we need to have that discussion somehow, somewhere. So, with that, I'd like to open it to folks who were not able to make the meeting. All of you left, in fact, our Finance Committee, except for Jennifer, but she has a clear interest here too. For questions or comments,
I'm sorry, Bennett, this is Dave. What is the looming problem you see ahead?
With smaller parks, older, smaller parks
Okay.
going out of business and not being financially viable for conversion into a small resident-owned park.
Right. Okay. Got it. Yeah. CDL doesn't want to be involved.
That you just don't have the economy of scale
Yeah.
to make it work.
Okay.
Miriam, Marcia?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. But I will reiterate, there are other ways to go than besides rock. I mean, there's a lot, we're at the point now in Danbury, we have paid off their mortgage. Their mortgage has been paid off. It's been 20 years. They are truly a resident-owned affordable housing. They have been set up as a co-op, so they are all shareholders. That's how they are defined as park owners. When things like the pandemic first hit, they made a decision to forego lot rent across the board for a couple of months. They're able to afford to do stuff like that. It's a great little community. And they're doing terrific. So
What park is that, Miriam?
this is Kenosha Commons in Danbury, 46 Kenosha Avenue.
Okay, I know.
And we're
How
going
many
to
spaces in Kenosha Commons?
Excuse me?
How many spaces in
There's
Kenosha?
30, but then they also have like 4 apartments in a house that are also part of the community that also provide rental, income to that. Yep.
So that's a case in point then for a smaller community being resident.
Absolutely.
Not being-
Absolutely. What we forget is this, that local banks, there was, and I believe they still do, they have a responsibility to provide or at least complement or support affordable housing in their towns. Originally they started looking at the bigger banks and were getting frustrated. And Danbury Savings, a nice little sweet bank, stepped up and helped them completely because it's a community bank. And to me, that's where the under 50 group or whatever it is that makes them, is where working with a local community bank would work with that.
I think that's a very important point. We're going to hear a similar story out of Colchester.
Yeah.
But again, that's where it was a local bank, but it was also a bank without a lot of options. And
what do you mean a bank without a lot of options? I don't understand.
Well,
you mean to get their financing? You mean?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And unfortunately, there are a lot fewer local banks today, Miriam, than when you helped put that deal together in Danbury.
That's true.
So yeah, I think it's a good point, but there has to be still professional help available somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because there have only been 2 instances of this in the last 40 years. Yours in Colchester.
Right, but no one else is really, I don't know of any that have tried and failed, I'm aware of, that have not.
Right, but we don't know how many have tried. We don't know how many would have tried.
I will tell you this, it does take more than anything else, it takes that motivated resident or resident group to go all the way through with this. And, the group that Al with was, so highly motivated because their park was closing, a big, a mall was coming in. And they had people that were really dedicated to, and had a lot of support from the developers to move their home, find a new property, whatever. And move them. So what they bought was a brand new community. with all brand homes. That's not necessarily to be the situation that we're looking at now. It's different than Colchester, where you're staying right where you are. And the age of your home, you're not getting brand new homes, so that those are easier to finance a community. You know, a lot of times people won't fund a community. You know, I'm dealing with a big sale right now in Norwich of 3 mobile home communities, and financing groups will want to know the age of individual mobile homes, whether they're owned by, you know, they're owned by individuals, they're not owned by the park, but they wanted to see the age of every home in those communities, and they discounted the appraised value of the park and what they would help fund, because the parks had older homes in them. Now, if I had that same piece of land, that same property, the same income stream coming in, but those homes were brand new or with under 10 years old, financing would be a different ball game than with older homes. And you have to, I mean, that's just reality. So when we talk about an older park, if you talk about a Country Mobile or somebody like that, you know, not only do they have the perhaps poor condition, perhaps neglect by the current owner over the past few years, but you've got to be realistic about the age of those homes in there and whether someone is going to be willing to finance that. So again, I'm going to start looking at your community banks, because they sort of, you know, that's hopefully what they're there for. I'm just throwing that out there from my experience.
Right. The ideal would be CHFA in partnership with a local bank, figuring out how CHFA.
Right. But that's going to be an obstacle that I think we have to speak about at some point as well, is doesn't matter you know, we can talk about all day long about the infrastructure and make sure that's up to code and date and whatever. But we also have to look at what are the homes there. Okay. Does that come into play?
Right.
Future discussion. I'm just putting it out there.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Marcia, any further thoughts?
No, I really don't at this point, Bennett. You know, there haven't been a lot of cases that they've come up for sale where the residents were going to buy them. You know, you're really talking about maybe 3 of them. 3, I believe, is all in Connecticut. I know in Massachusetts there have been more of them, and I'm not sure why the difference between communities in Massachusetts, but it's not something that typically happens in Connecticut.
Rafi?
Yeah, I don't think I really have anything to add. I mean, I think Bennett's point certainly is correct about the need for professional help. To me, the financing options, I mean, the effort to have CHFA be actively involved, which I think you guys have been great with, provides an option for residents, but we should not ourselves, in looking at the whole system and structure, not assume that this is going to be an option for, you know, for every park, and for perhaps only for a handful of parks. It's an important option to have available, but it becomes, you know, as Miriam said, it takes a group of tenants, of residents of the parks who want to be actively involved and are willing to invest some real effort in terms of their own time, because we don't want a buyout to fail. I mean, we don't want this to become a route to the park closing in a different way, so we just need to be aware of that. And so I don't see this as a panacea to potential displacement of residents if for a variety of reasons parks either close or start pricing residents out of the capacity to pay rent. It's one of the options. It's an important option, but we need to also be very alert to parks that are not going to convert in this way, and where we need to make sure there are adequate protections for the residents.
Thank you. Jennifer, any thoughts, questions? Doesn't look like you're muted, Jennifer.
Poor Jen.
No. Al, I'll give you the last word.
Okay, just a couple of comments. When we ran into the problem in Ryder Woods with the lawyers that we had working for us and stuff, and the approaching the banks, like Miriam said, that are local, you know, that have an obligation to help out if they can. The ones in our area, Milford Bank, People's Bank, you know, that kind of thing, they were approached and they had no interest at all in helping the residents with financing at all. So that's pretty much the reason why a bigger organization like Rock got involved, because there was no other local bank that would step forward. It's great if in a community, if they have some financial resources of their own, that they can go to a local bank and get the financing, but that doesn't always happen, unfortunately.
Colette?
Agree with that.
Well, I'm just taking notes. It's all, you know, great comments that will, you know, we'll just keep, again, get that basic framework in and then just keep tugging at it and seeing how much, you know, coverage we can get on various instances.
Great. And Colette, will you join us in our conversation with Valencia on the single family financing as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad she's engaged. Obviously, she can speak to it a lot more, but it's good for me to be following along and keeping up with that discussion. So yes, please.
Right. And I did mention before you came on that you would be reaching out to DOH to make sure they were part of the discussions on the park purchase going forward.
I have a call scheduled with Jennifer later in the week to just kind of go into further detail about that discussion that we had Monday and start to update her on that.
Great. We have always seen DOH as a critical partner in this project, perhaps more than DOH itself has seen itself. So we would hope that we're glad that the new commissioner is coming on the park tour, and hope that there will be enthusiastic participants in what's emerging. So thank you both for that.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you might have skipped me before. I would like to add that I appreciate the efforts to get this program moving. I do think that there should be a way to make it work in Connecticut, given the fact that there has been recent purchases in nearby states, New Hampshire and Massachusetts have been mentioned in this particular meeting, and I'm aware of a couple of instances over in New York. I'd also like to point out that you know, there has been a recent sale of a big group of mobile homes in Connecticut, and known as Jensen's, that residents didn't have an opportunity to explore the opportunity to purchase the parks. I don't know how that would ever get addressed, but it's just something I wanted to make everybody aware of, that there are the whole, I don't know, half a dozen or more. No, there's more than that. A dozen parks in Jensen's, in the former Jensen's, that would fit the criteria of newer park or generally newer homes that might have been suitable for a park-owned situation, and there's no way to address that now.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good point, that while we are looking at a situation where a park is closing and there's distress and we got to act to save people's homes, there is always the possibility that residents are seeking to just create a better circumstance for themselves and buy out the owner. And I think that would be great if we could get to that stage as well. So unless people have anything new to bring up, I think we have exhausted the agenda. I will be sending out the final disclosure statement as we discussed, and we'll be polling the members of the Finance Committee about the meeting with Valencia and Colette on the individual home purchase to make sure we have a in-depth discussion before the December council meeting. So with
I
that,
got one question for you.
please. Al.
As far as the individual purchase program goes, because I did have a resident that wanted to move into the park and got in touch with Jaffa, and they were told they don't handle that anymore. So if there was a misunderstanding between him and Jaffa or something, is maybe there information that can be sent out to the council members as far as who to get in touch with if somebody wants to apply for a loan for an individual home, so that this misunderstanding doesn't go forward?
So could you help us there? Valencia seemed to indicate that the program was sort of in suspense. Is that true?
I don't want to speak for her because I haven't had a lot of one-on-one conversations with her, but my understanding is that they're still working through details with C4C. I don't know if she was able to say that that was worked through on this call or not. But we are aware of the issue, Al, that you brought to our attention. And when details are ironed out, that we will definitely be doing e-blast and making sure, whether even if it's internal staff or front desk staff at CHFA, know what to do when they get those calls. So that has definitely been identified as an issue. I don't know if we're at the stage yet to go ahead and tell everybody what, that the C4C is up and running again. I don't want to misspeak. I'm not sure if Valencia was able to provide a detailed update on that piece.
That's okay, as long as whenever it gets around to the point where there is some kind of procedure that can be handed out to us to tell people when they do approach us as to what to do and how to do it and what steps to follow, that's fine. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right, nobody wants that to happen, them to get people to get the runaround or not know where to call. So we hear that. And again, the suggestion made to make sure, even our front desk staff, if they get a call to, refer them to C4C if that's who's administering the program for us. So it'll definitely be a step in the process for sure.
Colette, could you just confirm for me that there's no way at the moment for anyone to submit an application?
I don't want to confirm that. I don't know if C4C is taking the applications and looking at them while they're, firming up concerns with Valencia. I'd have to ask her.
Would you do that and shoot me an email?
Sure.
I think it's important that we know. Ideally, even if they can't free up the money yet, if they'd at least be in a position to process the application, that would be something. Al, is it too late for your purchaser?
Yeah, he had gone somewhere else and finally found somebody to send him the money.
Okay. Well, it'd be good to know. Thank you. If there's nothing else?
I think
Bob,
we're good. When is our next meeting? It's not till December. I guess that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I forget, December 10th, something like that?
Wow. Okay.
Hang on, I'll try to tell you.
It's December.
It's December 16th.
16th,
Okay.
okay. Super.
December 16th, yep.
Thank you all.
All
Thank
right.
Stay safe.
Thank you guys.
you.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
see everybody.
Thanks,
See
Ray,
ya.
for the work.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I never know how to get out of here.